Welcome to New Game Plus, a retro gaming podcast where three guys spend 7 days playing one old game and then we talk about it. My name's Dustin.
My name's Kenny.
Nolan here.
And this is episode 311 and the first episode of 2022 and...
Amber is the color of your energy.
Woo!
Woo!
Woo.
You're going to have to get that level of excitement up.
That's the amount of excitement I have for the new year.
Was it because Betty White passed away?
That was super upsetting.
Among other things. Also Madden.
Madden? The football game?
Yeah, they're no longer going to be making the Madden games, and Kenny's devastated.
Is that real?
No, the guy,
No,
Joe
Madden
died.
He died.
Oh, John Madden died?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh.
I think Dustin said Joe Madden.
I care. I care more about Betty White. She almost made it to 100.
January 17th was her birthday.
That sucks. Like, they should just give that one to her. She was 100.
They should just give it to her. In other news, IGN just released an article listing their top 100 video games of all time. And I wanted to get your general impressions.
I love this. I haven't seen it. But I will say of IGN really quick, there are a lot of news gaming articles that we've been like pooping on lately, like Kotaku and others. IGN is like OG, and while they've had ups and downs, I trust them more than others.
Yeah, I think they put out good content.
Their reviews are good.
I don't even find, you got to do somewhat clickbaity, but they're not gross. They're not scammy like Kotaku and some others.
Right.
I've always respected what IGN brings to the table, and so. My question with this is not, are they correct or incorrect? A top 100 list of best video games of all time is subjective.
Oh, it can be wrong.
Well, yeah,
it
but
can be wrong.
But there's not one right way,
Okay, yeah.
All right, so Final Fantasy VII, by the way, I'll give you a few and then I'll go through the top 10. Okay, so Final Fantasy VII is all the way at the back, number 98, barely making the list. I believe multiple Final Fantasies are ahead of that one. League of Legends, 93. Dark Souls at 80.
Whoa.
Diablo 2 at 49, followed by StarCraft at 48.
Too low.
I mean, Dark Souls at 80 is too low, brother.
And then here's the top 10, okay?
All right.
Number 10 is Disco Elysium.
All right. I take back what I said
about
IGN knowing what they're doing. Because sure.
I didn't play it, so I don't know, but it sounds
I didn't
wrong.
either, but stop it.
There are some people in our community, I'm looking at you, Dom, that love this game. My wife and I tried to play it, and it wasn't for us.
Really? Okay. Whoa.
It's very literature, RPG. You're not really playing a game. You're reading a book, which it sounds like something I would enjoy. Yeah, and maybe I would alone, but trying to play it with my wife, that was not the kind of game that we typically enjoy. So.
10. All right.
Number 9 is a game that we played on the podcast called Half-Life 2.
I agree.
No, we just played Half-Life.
We played Half-Life 1.
Yeah, we've not played 2.
Can we play 2 yet? Maybe.
I don't know if it's actually top 10 gameplay, probably top 10 legacy, so I'll give it to them.
Number 8 is Red Dead Redemption 2.
The second one.
Y'all haven't played it.
I haven't played either one of them.
I think their list last year had Red Dead Redemption in the top 10, and now Red Dead Redemption 2 is in the top 10. Red Dead is further down the list. They're both incredible games. I think they both are among the best games that I've ever created. They're so good.
So you think 2 bumping out 1 was the right call?
It's just hard, man.
It's a toss-up. Okay.
As a retro video game podcast, are they overemphasizing recent games?
Yes.
That's fair. They have
Number 7, however, they're honoring and respecting. Number 7, Super Mario 64.
Top 10 for sure. Agree. Kenny,
you don't think top 10?
Top 20, maybe.
I think your top 10 would be so whack now that I think about it.
It's good.
Kenny's top 10 would be great. Number 6, Mass Effect 2.
Okay. I didn't get all the way through Mass Effect 2. I got through most of it.
I need to just play that series.
The first one is a masterpiece.
I know. I would love to have you guys watch me play it.
Y'all know that I like and respect Mass Effect, the entire trilogy. I don't know if I'd place them in the top 10.
I wouldn't either. I get it though.
They're great. I mean, great games.
Yeah.
Like, I'm fine with that. Number 5, Super Metroid.
We're in top 5 now. Super Metroid's a top 5.
I'd
No?
put it in. I love Metroid Dread more personally.
Okay, I got you, but totally top 10 material. I agree.
Top 10, not top 5.
Ooh, wow.
Okay.
Number 4, The Legend of Zelda: A Link to the Past.
Yeah.
Which, that's not a surprise. I mean,
It's not a surprise. It's not my answer, but it's fine.
Top 10, not top 5.
number 3, Portal 2.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Possibly too low.
Wait, top 3? It's top 10.
Portal 2 is, of course, top 10.
It's amazing.
A
It's
masterpiece.
Easy top 5. I don't know where in
Yeah.
it, but easy.
Number 2, another game that we played somewhat recently. No, this was not recent. Super Mario World.
Yeah. Come on now. Of course.
I don't know about 2 for me. Like, it's not me personally, but totally understand.
Same.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
I think
Number-
Legacy again.
Number 1. Any guesses? Obviously, there's so many guesses here. But
Yeah, I think
I
have
know
an
the answer because I saw a headline about their
Well,
rating.
screw
of the top
you,
one.
little
So
boy.
I can't guess objectively, but
Okay, then what is it, Kenny?
Guess
no,
the-
let me guess.
You guess Nolan, and
Yeah.
then Kenny, you guess incorrectly. And then
Yeah.
okay,
Yeah.
perfect.
I think that they would have put The Witcher 3 Wild Hunt as number 1.
Okay. Good guess. And I will tell you that Witcher 3, The Wild Hunt, is number 16.
Okay.
Okay. Kenny, incorrect guess?
My incorrect guess is Color a Dinosaur.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's really
that
wrong.
was actually number 11, right outside the top 10.
That's number 1060.
Okay. Kenny, I'll give you the honors.
Yeah. Breath of the Wild.
Oh.
I hate that you said it that way, but
Yeah,
it is
Wrath of-
Breath of the Wild. So 2 Zeldas in the top 5 or top 10? Top 5.
Top 5, which correct, but I wish we should do our own top 10s. But of all time, across all
all time is just
genres,
hard.
All
man.
time is really hard.
And that's so subjective.
I don't like the top 10. I gotta say, I don't like that.
Ooh.
I don't like it. It's
Well-
it's a bit.
No, I don't.
It's
I
a
don't either.
bit expected and kind of like whatever.
I don't know if it's a bit expected. I appreciate that they have both old school and new school, that throughout this list, they're representing the founders, but also the ones that did it a little bit better. I think the list is good. I don't align with it perfectly, but I just wish everyone could be like you guys. Then it would be perfect, right? Like, if we could just be an intellectual, a savant, a Rain Man, if you will.
I will.
Okay.
I won't.
Like in our retro game of the week, Rain Man 2, The Great Escape.
Overview.
Rayman 2. I keep almost saying Rain every single time I try to say it. The Great Escape is a 1999 3D platformer on the N64 and some other systems. I think it was first on the N64.
Yeah.
Correct.
Okay. It was developed for N64.
And then PC, and then Dreamcast, and then PlayStation, and then PlayStation 2, and then Game Boy Color, and then literally everything.
And I think the farther down you go that list, the game changes more drastically, especially obviously when you get on Game Boy Color, it's a completely different thing.
Yeah.
Developed by Ubi, Dustin. Ubi
But we're gonna
Pictures.
say
Ubisoft.
we're gonna say dang it, now I can't even say it correctly. We're gonna say Ubisoft this year.
We are?
It's just better.
It's a Ubisoft year? I think it's better. Okay.
Kenny?
Yeah.
Okay. Kenny says, yeah. It's developed by, I can't even say it normal, Ubi Pictures. Published by Ubisoft, a French company. You know them from everything. I'm not even
Assassin's Creed.
Yeah, that's probably the big one. Origin, the Origin launcher we all love. Wait, that's EA. Anyways,
I don't know, dude.
this was a jump from 2D to 3D, which can always go one way or another. We've talked about a couple games that did that on the show, and this one was a 2D platformer before this, and it was very successful. I think people really loved the first one, and so you have to do 3. You have to make that jump. Of course, you have to. The new console's out. If you're not going to do 3D, then you're going to get left behind. Mischief Makers was an N64 title that we played. It's a platformer, 2D platformer. I mean, it had 3D like graphics, but they didn't do the whole like third-person perspective like this game does, and were rewarded for it, in my opinion. I know Dustin didn't really care for it, but I think it can work. But you still have to, especially with a big company like this. The story is as follows: robot pirates are taking over planets. What?
I love video games.
They're so dumb, though.
How great is that?
Yeah, that's the beginning of the sentence. Robot pirates are taking over planets and enslaving people. The Glade of Dreams is next on their list, which is where Rayman and his friends live, and they fight the pirates, but they end up capturing Rayman. You don't see any of this take place. The game begins with Rayman in prison, and thus begins the great escape of this game. You make your way through different areas, collecting some things, lums, using your abilities, freeing allies, and fighting bosses. It's I think most 3D platformers on this console you could call linear, but this one's, I think, a little more linear than some of the other examples, even Mario 64. So it's definitely not a collectathon, but there is some elements of like Banjo and Crash. I think, Dustin, you asked if it was similar to those last week, and it is in some ways.
Dustin has had no Rayman experience before this game. Not only had he not seen the Rayman movie, he had not played any of the Rayman games. Kenny probably watched a friend play Rayman, because that's always his answer. He's watched a friend play something.
Friend down the street.
Any Rayman experience?
This was past your time.
No, I'm more familiar with Rain Man than Rayman.
Okay. And then Nolan, I know that in watching your first play, you had some Rayman experience, but you weren't entirely sure what Rayman game. Do you know now?
Yes. I haven't played Rayman 1. I owned and played this game, Rayman 2, The Great Escape.
Okay.
There are a lot of Rayman games, and that's why I was like, they all kind of blend together for me when I look at them. And so it took me a while, but when I saw the opening scene of a robot pirate dragging Glowbox through the ship, I was like, oh, this is it.
Got you. Okay. Just as a reminder, this is a producer pool game, which is something we do incredibly rarely around here, but it's our most exclusive pool, and we wanted to see how we were going to start the year off. Was it going to be good, or was it not going to be good, which some call bad? This game was submitted by one of our producers at the time, Clint, and we'll figure out how this will set the tone of the year for New Game Plus.
Gameplay.
Rayman 2 has a very similar setup to many other early 3D platformers on both the N64 and the PlayStation. My experience with 3D, I guess they did a lot on both, on both consoles, on both systems.
Yes. More so on PS1, I think.
I felt like more so on PS1, but then I'm thinking of all these. This one was N64. I know it was also PlayStation.
They each had their own exclusives here and there, but yeah, I mean, they were spread across both consoles at the time, I think.
And it was just the big thing at the time.
Yeah, it was the big thing. Yeah.
Like, you had Banjo, you had Conkers, like all of that.
Yeah, so I had mentioned last episode, I asked the question, is it like? And after playing this week, I think it's not identical, but very comparable to games like Crash Bandicoot, Spyro, Gex Enter the Gecko, in the setup of the game, where you've got a hub world that you can kind of even revisit some stages. These stages have themed environments that you're in. You've got a very simplistic fighting system here, and it's light collection. in order to progress.
Yep.
That's the setup of these games, and I think especially for the time, that setup works perfectly.
Yeah, it's the formula, and in this case, I was happy that it was in place. I think it works great still. I think it's a simple and fun approach.
Because it's less collecty than some of the ones you think. I think gameplay wise, it reminded me more of Conker's Bad Fur Day. It's the PG version of Conker's.
But
even trying to sort of be funny.
Conker's didn't have a hub world though, so that's one of the things that I'm thinking about.
But, just to feel like the gameplay, it's the baby. It's the Conker's Banjo baby.
I don't want Conker's baby.
I think Conker and Banjo would probably produce a baby. They could figure something out.
They'd hook up.
I love when collection was this. You collect one, maybe two things.
Lumps.
Ubisoft, though, were like people like collection, and then started creating Assassin's Creed games where you got to collect 10,000 things in order to 100% the game. And I hate that. I understand that some people, I think these developers get it wrong. They're like, they like collecting. Let's give them more. I think people did that with open world. They saw Skyrim and its success, and they were like, they like open world. More, bigger. And I hate that.
Yeah, I think DK64 is the most egregious form of that. We played that
early on
with Nintendo, and yeah, it's got like way too much, and that's how it does progression is collecting. But in this case, it is still based on collecting, but because it's lums and because they don't ask you to get an insane amount, and they do a good job of placing them in your path. Yeah, I think it's great here, and I could have even used another thing to collect. I guess I'm one of the ones that likes that to a degree. I think like Banjo did it great with the puzzle pieces. But yes, I think this one, there's much less focus on, hey, go get all this junk, and more so on, look at this cool environment we created. And I love that.
And they did a good job of sometimes giving you stuff to find that wasn't just more of your collectible. You had to,
Cages.
do the platforming stuff and find bombs and interact with elements and that kind of stuff, as opposed to just more like items to collect. And so I think they did a really nice balance of linear versus lots of exploration, and collecting versus sort of just play the game.
Just to be clear here, you're collecting two things. You're collecting the lums, and that's kind of about progression, and you're collecting the cages, which are pretty much lums also, I think. But those are the two things. Those are the two things that are being measured on the stage. And what I really respect and love, I know it's so simplistic, but you can tap the right shoulder button and you can bring up the number of lums and cages on the stage that you have collected and have left to collect. You can also tap it again and that will go away so that you've got a very clean HUD. I love that.
That's great.
There was some, I think it was Assassin's Creed actually, where you've got a lot on the screen, right? Because you've got to have health and you got to have all this. But in one of the games, you could press down the two thumbsticks and all of it would disappear. So you just had a clear screen to look at. I love that.
That's
I know
a good quality of life.
It's fun.
I love that.
They also gave you the audio cues here with the help. I'm not going to say it right.
The people in the cage are the Teensies. Can we talk the Teensies? I haven't said it out loud until now.
Yeah.
The Teensies are alien species, a character, a creature in this game that are undeniably cute.
Yes.
Especially at the end of each and every stage when you free one, and Rayman dances with the Teensee at the end of the stage.
They're your best friend.
It's the best thing.
It's so funny.
Nolan, I got to watch you do it, and then when they're trying to decide who's king of the Teensies,
great.
It is hilarious.
It's great.
And then later they show back up and they're like, "We've created a system." And they're standing in line.
Dude.
They each take turns and do a line.
That's how you do humor in games, because they all have the crown, and then he's like, "I need your help with something to save the world," and then they're like, back away from the guy with the crown. He puts it on. He puts it on the other guy. Come on, man. That's
perfect
good.
Physical humor, and it just works. Those Teensies were hilarious, and I loved it every time I came into contact with them.
Hard agree. However, on the flip side of that coin, as much as I loved Teensies, I hated Murphy twice as much.
You hated Murphy because he's whispering in your ear like a creep.
I hated Murphy so much.
Why?
Like I literally thought about just like writing this game off and being like no NGP just on principle because he's so bad.
So extreme. I mean,
Murphy is the
Navi
fairy that's helping you.
Yeah, he's
the little
help
encyclopedia guy that runs around and
and he whispers.
like Navi or like the Koopa in Mario. And that's probably not the same.
The
equivalent
Lakitu.
there, but the Lakitu, whatever.
I guess that's what it's called.
I mean, Murphy's not equivalent to the Teensies.
No,
and he is kind of. I mean, he's weird for
but
sure.
he fits in the world though. I think he's.
Yeah.
I also was like, stop whispering in my ear right now. I'm wearing these like headphones. But I was like, it fits in the world, and I think it's funny still.
I found the simplicity of the collection system to kind of filter down into the simplicity of the stages. I'm interested to see if y'all felt the same. I felt that nothing really that I got to in the game this week was overly complex.
Oh, absolutely not.
Agreed.
Platforming was extremely simple. It got a bit more difficult, which that's what you want in the games, but I never had to spend an unreasonable amount of time on any level or on any puzzle at all.
No.
You didn't have to spend an unreasonable amount of time on anything, though, because it was also so varied. They would take a mechanic and then they would like have you do it again, but slightly differently. Or they'd take a mechanic and then they'd rethink it and add a twist and it'd be new and you'd discover it. This is one of the best games at both in the environment and in the gameplay, especially during this like move from 2D to 3D where they're kind of still figuring all of this out. Maybe by now they've figured it out some, but it just felt continuously fresh to me. And I loved that. That's hard to do. Like it's I can't overstate how hard that is to do. There's a reason we play so many games, especially platformers, and we're like too much of the same thing over and over again. And this game was like anti that.
Yeah.
I mean, even in the same vein, the combat too, like this is starting to be a trend as we talk about it more. Also very simple.
So simple.
Like, but not to a fault. I think it's fine that you start with a projectile and then later you can charge the projectile and then you unlock you don't really unlock like crazy weapons. It's more like abilities, like the ability to like swim and access new areas, and so then they can get more creative with the stage itself rather than
like Metroidvania.
No.
But your abilities are more so for platforming. There are a few like fighting upgrades or abilities, but yeah, you're not getting a rocket launcher, and you're not getting like space boots. You're just
and there's also not a million enemies that you need to kill. There's like 4 in the stage,
right?
And at first I'm like, what is going on? But the more and more you play through them, you're like, they really just wanted to focus on platforming. Which I super respect. Okay, what?
And I respect that too, and I enjoyed it. I think I could buy someone's argument. For example, if Kenny was a grouch over there and was like, I felt like there wasn't enough for me, and that it was too empty, and that I wanted more, then I would say, okay, I think you're dumb. But like if I'm talking specifically to Kenny, I'd be like, Kenny, you're dumb. I smell you from over here, but I'll give you that.
Yeah, don't put wrong opinions in my hypothetical mouth.
Also, he is grouchy all the time.
Yeah,
Grouchy.
if I'm going to be grouchy, I'm going to be grouchy about you saying I'm grouchy.
Hold on. I'm sorry. You got a green shirt on. You're a little furry. You look like that guy that comes out. I'm not meaning anything offensive. You look like the guy that comes out of the trash can.
from Sesame Street?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not going to argue with you, but if we're doing Sesame Street characters, you got to take it all the way. Nolan is Ernie.
And I'm Bert.
The taller of Bert and Ernie.
Okay.
No, you're Big Bird.
I think I'm Samwise Gamgee.
Wait. This is getting out of hand.
Okay.
Okay, so you're saying That if someone was like, I wanted more out of this, that you'd call them dumb, but you understand what they're saying.
I wouldn't even call him dumb. I was
I'd
just
call
doing
him
that to
dumb.
Kenny, but because I would buy that because it is like honestly, it's easy.
Sure. It's not a
Yeah.
Do you think it's a kid's game?
I,
It's funny to say that.
no,
No, I don't think so.
But I think it can be appreciated by a very young
Yeah.
audience.
Yeah, it's
like,
a
I think,
for everyone kind of game.
like some of the platforming in Crash Bandicoot is time based and is a lot harder. I feel like compared to
Yes.
this. This one
Yeah.
is simplistic, and like you said, there are 4 enemies in a stage or something. You know, it's and you can keep your distance, lock on with Z, straight back and forth, and throw your little fist rays. Rays? Do you think they're rays? Rayman?
Rayman. Beams. I don't know. They're rays. The boss fights were also simple.
Yeah.
But what do you mean? Ugh.
That's my one of my main complaints with this game.
That they were too easy?
There weren't many of them.
No.
And then when I felt like they left a lot to be desired. When I got to the first boss, which took a little bit, Axel, in the water and the ice world, the setup was good. You had to swing across this ice, not fall down, and knock down an icicle on his head. Okay, that's normal. I thought I'd have to do that 3 times. I did it 1 time, and the boss fight was over.
See,
Okay.
I kind of like you don't have to do everything 3 times. Like maybe he needed a second phase that was different, but the general formula of like do the same thing but do it 3 times is so kind of annoying and tropey.
It's formulaic.
I'm with Dustin.
I love that they're willing to not do that.
I'm-
It could have used more, but do it 3 times is not the answer.
No, it is the answer. I've got too much Zelda blood running through me. That's what you do. You do it 3
That's what you
times and they
do.
die.
Doing it 1 time, seriously, the boss fight, I just began. Like the music just began. I was 15 seconds into the boss fight and it was over. It felt so weird.
I guess you're right. And some of the other ones get health bars and it's a little different, but but even those, like, they could have been a little more interesting because all you end up doing for the second boss, I think, is reflecting his projectiles that he's shooting at you with your own projectiles, and it felt a little janky because of that. So I wish they would have done more of like what they did with Axel, but more of it. Like maybe he changes and you have to get a different thing to fall on his head or something.
Yeah.
I don't know.
But I will say, I don't think this game is about the boss fights. It's about the platforming, and then it's about the collecting. Boss fights are a part of it, but I think even some of the boss fights, you know, quote unquote, are some of the chase sequences or some of the, like, they do quote unquote bosses or that extra challenge in various ways throughout, and I respect that.
Aged.
I know we kind of mentioned it already, but I love that somehow the humor here doesn't feel too dated
At all.
Even when we play games that we've like disagreed on whether or not they're funny, but games that are trying to be funny, we've brought them up, Conker's, Gex, and that, you know, we have different opinions on. You can always tell exactly when these games live. I know this isn't a humor first game, it's a sort of humor supported game, but it's funny, and yet it's funny in just like these really straightforward kinds of ways. And I don't know, it just felt really accessible to me because of that. Like, it didn't feel like it was made a long time ago. It just looked slightly dated in the graphics, and that's it.
Yes, and I would almost argue that that is the forefront of the game. The charm is, and part of the charm is environments. I mean, it's a lot, but that humor is very central to that, and the characters you meet. I think the characters are so memorable here, and usually in platformers, they're goofy, but like overly done, and you're like, okay, I don't need more of you, but like, well, we already talked about the Teensies and Glowbox, like, and his kids, Daddy, like, save Daddy, like, those kinds of things were always funny, perfectly placed in the stage, and I think aged quite well because I agree with you, they're still very funny.
I know there's some practicalities here, but how do you guys feel about some of the things that to me felt a little shortcutty, like the faux speak?
Love it.
and
course.
like Rayman not actually having limbs,
Love it.
just floating.
Yeah, that's not shortcutty. That's not shortcutty.
No, I mean it is,
Isn't
but
it?
the
No.
graphic, that was a normal thing. I can't name the other games off the top of my head, but when I saw Rayman with just his fists and no arms, that was done around that time. I don't know why. Maybe it was hard to animate arms.
Elbows.
But elbows are tough. But it was familiar to me.
It's a
And
vector,
so
man.
If it was shortcutty, fine. But I think that is great and worked for Rayman. And for the gibberish, I would have it no other way.
No, of course not.
I watched a little bit up. So they added voice lines later, or they
Yes.
added voice actors later in PlayStation 2 version, I think maybe.
Get it out of here.
No.
Get it out of
No.
here.
Gross.
Man, what
It
does
does
it
not
do?
need to be here. That is adorable.
That's
Nolan.
hilarious. That's
That's adorable. It's hilarious. It fits.
Yes.
And you said the C word earlier, and that's exactly what this
Yes.
game is. Charm. It is
charm, Kenny.
It is charming. From the gibberish voices
word
to
I
the
know.
text on the screen. Sometimes it's large and colored. Sometimes it's it's whatever. And I thought everything from the music to the graphics. Of course, hey, it's N64. There was normal texture clipping at times. The draw distance had some issues. The polygons at times were a little bit rough, but nothing was game breaking, and everything was par for the course for its time.
And let's talk about the graphics a little more, though. I, in my first play, looked around and was like, what's going on? To me, this game looks better than a lot of N64 titles. A lot
Now,
of them.
was it N64 started what, 96?
Yes.
95, something like that.
Seven.
So I guess, what is this? This is still somewhat early, I guess, in the life cycle. We're
Yeah.
99. A few
Early
years
to
later.
mid.
Yeah,
And
especially for an N64 game. If it was a PlayStation game, I'd give it a little bit more because you've got a CD more to work with. But being
Yes.
on that cartridge and looking this good, that is respectable.
It's so colorful, and Kenny hinted earlier that each area is varied and different. And like, I love the sewer stage. Like, all that was so fun to explore, and in large part because the graphics were they're obviously N64, and yes, that objectively ages, but despite that, I enjoyed and really thought that these looked really solid.
Yeah, no, it looks nice. And when it looks nice and it's themed well and you tie your gameplay in with your themes, it just makes this nice little cohesive package that, yes, maybe slightly dated in terms of like overall ability graphically, but still fits and looks good for the game and doesn't detract, which happens a lot on N64 titles.
Why do Rayman fans hate this one? I heard from a few people even in Discord this week that were like, Rayman 3 is amazing, Rayman 2 is not good. And I'm like, is that the consensus with this one? And like Legends and 3 and the other ones are just more loved? And I'm trying to figure that out, because to me this one seems like it would be appreciated even by the core fan base.
Well,
I'm going to assume outlier, although you can take my normal logic of sequels are better and maybe say the 3D sequel, like the second time they got to do 3D, they might have done it even better. I don't know. Rayman 3 may be like even better than this game, but I don't see any reason to look at this game and be like, it's not a good game or it's bad. It'd be great if others in the series are even better. Cool, but I don't know. I feel like maybe that's an outlier.
Maybe we'll hear from our community in a bit.
I know that the game received critical acclaim upon release, and a lot of people. So I wonder if that was just as age. And yeah, I mean, if the third one is better, then I don't know if you have to dog on the second one, but you can say that the third one is better for sure.
Yeah.
I know that it's super easy to play today, Rayman 2, because it, like we mentioned earlier, it's been re-released every 2 years since like the beginning, pretty
Literally.
much.
On so many
3DS.
things.
Like, one of the easiest ways to play it today probably is you can play it on PC by going to the Ubisoft website and purchasing the game from their website. It's currently on sale 75% off, because of course it is, because we're playing it this week. So you can play it for $1.50.
Hey, more companies do that,
They
please. What?
Absolutely. That's
Come on.
incredible.
Yeah.
Their
incredible.
website for that
So good.
cheap?
Right.
I might buy
Is
that. I'm not kidding.
There are other games in the series we've kind of just mentioned. Rayman, the first one, 1995. Rayman 3 came out in 2003. Rayman Origins in 2011, and finally Rayman Legends came out in 2013.
Why did I think there was an even more recent one?
Probably because Rayman 2 came out again in a different version.
Probably.
You can get a cartridge for $19 used. Easy, go get it. For that much. But
sell you mine.
$210 new.
$210.
Yeah, big jump there. If you want it for cheaper, you can play it on your PlayStation. Both of those are a little bit less there.
Final thoughts.
At the end of each and every one of our episodes, we determine whether or not the game gets our vote for New Game Plus status, which is our general thumbs up or thumbs down. It does require 2/3 of the vote to swing one way or the other. I'll begin and say Rayman 2, The Great Escape, is absolutely charming. I wish that I would have played this when I was playing some of those other early 3D platformers. Whether I played it on the N64 or PlayStation, it wouldn't have mattered. I had both. I mentioned last week, I think I didn't play this game because the character didn't grab me. But now I look at him and I've got a fondness in my heart.
Yeah.
Before here, I looked at him and I was like, nothing special there.
The visual itself isn't what sells him.
No, it's not. And the visual sells Sonic, and the visual sells the Plumber Mario, and the visual sells Crash Bandicoot. But the visual did not sell Rayman, and it did not sell Rayman for me as a kid. However, now that I played Rayman 2, it's got a charm that some of these other successful ones did, you know? It's a different charm than Gex, but it's charming. It's a different charm than Sonic, but it's charming. And I thought it played so incredibly well. I think that this is an excellent platformer for its time. I think there is an argument that the simplicity is maybe too much, and that there's not enough complexity there. But I had a lot of fun with it this week. I wish I had more time with it this week, but with the time that I had, I absolutely adored it. Thought that it was so cute and smiled so much while playing it. I certainly give it my vote for New Game Plus status. Boys?
You want me to go, Kenny?
Sure.
Okay. No, you go.
Okay. For sure, this gets New Game Plus status for NGP status for me. If you just want a very solid 3D platformer with lots of heart but no frills on N64 or PC or PlayStation, then this is certainly a contender for your time. It does look like some of the later ports and releases didn't hold up as well. So if you do want to play this game, be a little cautious about what you play it on. You may not have near as good a time if you decide to play it on the 3DS or, something else like that. So go OG if you're going to play it. But yeah, certainly play it.
Okay. I'm glad both of y'all are saying this. I thought I had remembered correctly that it's a great platformer when it got pulled. If it was the one that I played, and it indeed is. I got farther this week than I did when I owned it. I'm not sure why that is, but I enjoy it. What?
You got good.
Well, yeah. But I was good back then. I've always been good. I've always had it. I absolutely love Rayman as a character. And I think that as a game, they returned to the 2D form later. So I think that Legends game is 2D. And I've played the 2D one that was more modern, and I think that format works a little better as a game for Rayman. Kind of similar to Donkey Kong Country games. I think Tropical Freeze, the new one that they made, that's back to 2D. That's my favorite Donkey Kong Country, straight up.
That's on my list, on my Switch
it's
list.
Dude, so good.
I can't wait for you to play
it's
it. But,
so good.
But DK64 I like, but it's too much of a collectathon, and I think it works better 2D. I think the same for Rayman, but this transition from 3D was done so perfectly because they focused on the charm. They didn't compromise the character or the world for collectathon or for like anything difficult for no reason. It's about Rayman and his friends, and it's hilarious, and it's still good. Play this game. It's so good.
Fully agree. Murphy can die in a fire.
No! Murphy can't die in a fire. He's the best.
Which means Rayman 2 The Great Escape is New Game Plus certified. But what did you think? We had 324 votes on YouTube. It was over the holidays, so maybe a little bit lower and a little bit skewed maybe. 59% said yes.
Okay.
12% said no.
The haters.
And 29% have never played it. I wouldn't have expected that based on our reaction to the game
Same.
this week.
They're just haters. That's all.
But let's see what our community thought. Jay wrote in and said, I first discovered Ubisoft with this game as I was a child. It was a friend of mine's favorite game, and as I saw the introduction back this week, I got to say it might be a flawed game, but this franchise did succeed at making the transition from 2D to 3D, and this world is brimming with charm, the C word, and I hope people will enjoy it as much as I did. Would recommend.
Yeah, great transition to 3D. There are so many examples of it failing. Like
Right. And again, that is not easy to do. It's
Camera
not as
is
easy as
hard.
just like, let's make it 3D.
Right, camera was
Right.
hard for them back then as a concept. They were like, how do we
Cameras
do
hard. I think especially on the Nintendo 64.
Yes, the
For
C
some
buttons.
reason-
The C buttons.
But guys, that Z snap with the camera works so well here.
Great.
The auto camera to zoom out when it wanted you to just walk
Yep.
left and right, and to zoom in. I felt I had
Auto
very
aim.
little trouble with the camera this week.
The auto aim was welcome.
Was so nice. All right. Joey said, after playing this game, I am absolutely blown away. I had very low expectations because I'm not familiar with the Rayman series. Growing up, I always thought of it as a second-rate Crash Bandicoot, but I was absolutely wrong. The simplicity of the game matched with variety of levels has been super enjoyable. I also love the hilarity of the gibberish of each character. All in all, a great game that I would recommend to anyone.
I wonder if we all had that thought of like, rip off Crash Bandicoot or rip off Banjo at first, but like once you actually sit down, you're like, I get it.
It's its own thing, yeah. And here's the thing, it's weird because I wouldn't want them to change the character model now that I've experienced him, but like back then, maybe it would have drawn me in if it was a cuter, cooler character.
Yeah,
I don't
elbows.
know, you know. But now I don't want him to change it because I think he's cute as he runs around the stage without any
bouncing
arms.
around. Yeah, so good.
Because the elbows are too hard. Sin Doctor said, I'll preface my comment by saying I'm very nostalgic for this game, and I can't really separate myself from that fact when
Fair.
looking at it now. But
Fair.
with that being said, I think this game is underrated and one of my favorite, if not my favorite, 3D platformers of all time.
Wow.
I think replaying it, what grabs me the most is that the world that Ubisoft managed to create is so full of life. Games of this era did not have worlds this realized and fun for the most part, and I think this game actually stands out so much for that reason. Not to mention, it looks incredible to me. They went with an almost impressionistic watercolory approach, and it's aged beautifully. I think this game is so enjoyable still, and it just feels/looks awesome. NGP, absolutely.
I agree. Underrated. It's an underrated title.
And then finally, the one who submitted the game for us to play, Clint.
Boy.
He said, Ubisoft had two pretty awesome titles on the N64 that I owned growing up, but I lost to a garage sale. Both games, I've since gone out of my way to find copies and add it back to my collection. The first was Rocket Robot on Wheels, and it was the game that brought me to NGP nearly 2 years ago, which, guys...
What?
He found our podcast
know.
by going to Spotify and searching Robot Rocket on Wheels,
For
which
the
tells you,
music.
one, a lot about Clint, but then two, it tells you a lot about us, that's who we
Right.
found, you know?
I love that story.
So that was the first one. The second was Rayman 2. Nostalgia for the game aside, it's not one of the console's all-star titles, and I think it rests pretty well in the upper B tier of the N64 library. The character models are really good and are amazing examples of moving from 2D to 3D, but there are a ton of obvious reused textures and poor polygon work at times. The sound design is up there with the best. The game is awkward. The several segments of vehicular-esque movements on rockets, moving chairs, and others are not great and don't age well either. There's a lot here that's good, but there's also a number of things that aren't. I'm not sure where the guys will land on this one, but I'm glad I gave Nolan a reason to pull out the 64 and hopefully beat it.
Yes. Well, I didn't beat it, but it was so much fun. And I have to disagree a little bit, kind of, with the like vehicle moments. And it's not a vehicle moment, but the skiing in the sewer, I loved that part. That was so good. Like having to dodge the posts and stuff.
What was also remarkable was the swimming underwater. games games still have trouble doing that today, and I felt like it was pretty fluid.
I'm gonna hard agree with his comments on the sound. We didn't spend a lot of time talking about music or ambience or sound effects, but man, they knocked it out of the park here. And really intelligent use of stuff with like telling you that you've accomplished important things and with kind of integrating sound and gameplay together. Just so good. Clint, thanks for giving us the excuse to play this one.
Yeah, but we're going to put it aside for now. And we're going to randomly select from our Retro Master list the second game that we're going to be playing. So hopefully we'll keep this momentum.
Let's
keep this excitement moving forward into the new year. Randomizing now. Well, guys, we are going from 3D to 2D this week, and we're transitioning from from platformer to beat 'em up, and we're transitioning from a home console to a handheld console. Kenny? Don't know why I said Kenny. Nolan, it is a Game Boy Advance title.
Good sign.
Kenny, it came out in 2002.
I don't like beat 'em ups, though.
Bad sign.
Nolan, it's based on a movie.
Really bad sign.
Kenny and Nolan. I don't know what this means for us, but our next game for 2022 is called Shrek Hassle at the Castle.
Oh, no. We're
Good
starting
sign.
the year on a meme? This is a good sign.
This is not a good sign.
Everyone loves Shrek.
Everything Shrek is good.
Yes,
I do not like Shrek.
You're lying.
I promise you, I do not like Shrek.
Shrek
I've
is
never
a great
liked Shrek.
movie.
I do not think it's funny.
You're
I do not
crazy.
think it's creative. I do not think it has charm. I think it's bathroom humor.
You don't like... That's right. You don't think farts are funny. Of course you don't like Shrek.
Do not say the F word.
Poot. Dude, this is going to be an interesting episode because you're going to get roasted by everyone in Discord.
Shrek is not good. I'm fine if you like it. I just think it's not good.
That might be the hottest take anyone's
that's
ever
a trash take.
Yeah.
He has such an impact on culture.
I wasn't going to give you a hard time about this, but you just put yourself squarely in the you need to be given a hard time about everything category because you're so wrong. It's pronounced bandicoot. Quit saying bandy.
First of all, get a life.
Yeah,
go watch Shrek and Fiona and Pussy Boots. And I just got a text message from my wife saying this is a Shrek household, and I didn't know
thank
that.
you. It is a Shrek household. I knew it.
She said, "How dare you insult our Lord?"
Thank you. Thank you for the backup. That's so true. You're
not
wrong.
even true.
I can't wait for this
she
episode.
Doesn't like Shrek.
She does like Shrek.
All right. I'm not watching it this week.
Okay. Yeah, you are.
Thank you for everything, guys. And find a copy of Shrek Hassle at the Castle and play it along with us this week.
Yes, thank you for everything. Guys, really big push for Discord. We need you to join Discord. If you've been listening for us for a while and you don't care to chat in Discord, still join, please. It's going to help us do great things. What, Kenny?
It's also the best way to tell Dustin how wrong he is about his Shrek opinion.
Shrek fans unite.
There's going to be at least one person that agrees with me that Shrek is overrated.
I'm listening to Smash Mouth all week. Come join our Discord. To do that, all you have to do is go to discord.gg/newgameplus. That's it. You don't have to go to our website anymore. We made it easy for you. Thank you to everyone who's boosted the server. Join Discord.
Want an easy way to vote with your wallet on Dustin's bad opinion? Become a producer on patreon.com. Every new producer we get this week, we'll consider as one downvote for Dustin.
Yeah.
You can join the likes of Marley and Anton and Ben, Bethany Fox, Brunt, Carrie, Captain Protein, Dan, DB Muppet, Francesca, Gimbin, Joey, Jordan, Justin, Corey, Matthew, Maximum, Mr. Lattes, Nawal, Secret Duck of Evermore, Shauna Thomas, Unbelievable, Wardonis, William, Zachary, and Zion as our amazing producer set. Or go above and beyond and become like Bro Jim and Garlisle, our directors, who truly go out of their way to make this show what it is. We got big news this week.
Oh.
Nicholas is a new patron.
Hey!
So what up, Saint Nick? Sajin has upped his support to become a producer.
Whoa,
Welcome.
Be in that
big
list. And he likes Shrek, apparently, preemptively.
Obviously,
And we have a new director level supporter.
big if true.
Huge cuz true. And you might have caught that his name is no longer in that producer list that I just listed. And he's also responsible for the game this past week. Gave everyone a moment to figure it out. If you don't know, it's Clen. Clen, thank you
Clennington.
for hopping up. We can't wait to do an episode with you.
That's gonna be
Bring it
so
on.
fun. Rayman 3.
So fun.
Clint, this is your year, Clint, because he got his producer pull selected.
Yeah.
He up. He's gonna come on as an episode and
He's-
probably make us play Tetris.
He's a
which
huge
is also
Shrek
bad.
fan.
Tetris and Shrek.
2022 is
just
coming
suck.
up all Clint.
All Clint. You can follow us on social media. That's Facebook, Twitter, Twitch, and YouTube. All of those links are in the show notes. Listen directly on any podcast provider of your choice. Subscribe so that you are the first to get new NGP episodes. And while you're at it, please leave a kind rating and review. This episode was edited and produced by our good friend Dan Willett. And before we sign off, we need to send off Kenny's beard.
Yeah, I don't like this. We shouldn't do that.
Nolan and I
I-
disagree with Kenny's decision, but he has made a decision. And what is it, Kenny?
Well, I told them to get ready that he doesn't have a name. The beard is probably not going to stick around too much longer. It may be gone by the next time you guys see or hear from me. And if not, then soon after.
That's soon?
So, yeah, 2021 was the year of the wizard beard, and
Wow.
2022 will not be.
So we need to play like the that like military send off someone's dying funeral dirge.
Dun, dun,
Because-
dun, 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 dun,
Oh yeah,
dun,
dun 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 dun.
The
dun.
start. Okay.
That's it. Because here comes the face.
Well, we will miss it. Thanks for being around with us for this last year plus, Beard.
Our
We enjoyed
podcast
having
will
you.
be terrible now.
Join us next week as we play Shrek Hassle at the Castle. Until then, I'm still Dustin.
I'm still currently bearded.
I'm Farquad.
And this has been New Game Plus.